Is that watercolor paper?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's different.
Ooh. Landscape.
It's a Tony only.
Very nice.
There's a view from Christina to Saddle Mountain at the end of the lake.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you sit out on your deck painting that?
It's from a photo.
Oh.
And then here, as you can see, there's 3, 6, 2, 1, 5. And then on the sides, I've got matching numbers. And what they do is they line up in a graph these little dots here. And they are the peaks and where they join.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm going to have a series.
So listeners, in the show notes and also in the art on the podcast, you can see KJ's painting, one in a series of the view from his shed in Christina Lake. And as mentioned earlier, he's doing a whole bunch of different ones. And he's also showing the technique that he uses for the geometry of the painting.
That's quite excellent. Where did you learn that?
Well, I just invented doing that part.
Well, I mean, the whole idea of mapping, like mapping the relative heights so that you get accurate relative sizes of mountains, you still have to paint them.
Yeah.
It allows you to paint them at the correct relative heights, which is cool as anything.
Well, no, when I did it, I have the picture on my computer and I put a ruler and I do a ratio.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I measure things.
Yeah, no, I know. I think it would never cross my mind to do that. It makes absolute sense. Because like I say, now you have the correct relative heights of stuff.
I sort of thought that's sort of cheating. But why wouldn't anything that you could do to make your painting look more whatever you want it to look?
Didn't they teach us in school the first thing you did was do a very light pencil sketch? Why isn't that cheating, right? That's no more cheaty than...
I don't think there is any cheating.
I don't think there is either.
However you get to your end product, right?
Yeah, and the fact that you just dreamt that up yourself is kind of genius, if you ask me. I would have never occurred to me to do that, but it makes absolute sense.
All my siblings are going to get one, and they'll all be different. Like the sky will probably always be different. I'm going to do a different one for Susan. So there'll be a series of about 8, I think.
That will be interesting on a couple of levels. Like, it'll be interesting to see, they'll evolve as you do it. You can't possibly do them exactly the same in terms of course, you're going to change the colors. That's the whole point. But the relationship between the mountain curves, it will be just interesting to see. You'll be able to recognize them as the same view, absolutely, but they won't be exactly the same. And it will be interesting to see what changes as you go.
One in a series. Collect them all.
That's right.
Oh, every day something new in this place, I tell you. That's cool.
I'll send you right now. It's my new opening night card. They're watercolor cards. So...
Why are they opening night?
Instead of flowers, it's like a personal gift. Like it's for Lucy and Susan and Patty Allen, and like it's
on their opening nights.
Yeah,
give them a gift.
There's a lot going on in here.
But you think it might be time
very affectionate
for
right
dinner?
Now. You guys want to do listener mail?
Yes.
But we have a new policy of always making sure we're caught up.
Yes, let's do
it. It becomes difficult if we don't. For a change, Leigh from Courtenay.
Oh.
But episode 179, Burger Dogs. Hi, dogs. Well, that was an interesting wrap to your latest podcast. Was it intended to be like one of those the making of productions? There you were signing off, and I was ready to do so too, and then I noticed there was still over 20 minutes of playtime showing. So I stayed in case it was like one of those secret bonus tracks on a record. Sidebar, it was.
It was. It just wasn't as fun as the usual secret bonus track.
But it turned out to be dogs in a car, in quotes, as you discussed various things with varying audio levels. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but it was kind of meta. Yes, that's a kind of a peek into the dog's real lives.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the backstage. We're swearing a little too much.
Yeah,
we're having a nice little road trip. The music's going, which, I'm surprised that we haven't been booted off the podcast platform because there was all that
unpaid for music.
Yeah, like Paper Planes by MIA. That's pretty mainstream stuff.
Yeah. I really do like my my feedback gentle like that. Like basically she could have just as well said, what a mammoth waste of 20 minutes that was.
I think what she basically told us was, that's 20 minutes of my life
Yeah,
I will never get
exactly.
back.
Only she did it so nicely.
Yeah.
And I think there might be, well, read on, McDuff. Like that?
Now, she continues, on to the show itself. I think another real-world example of enshittification, your excellent word of the hour, RJ, might be the airlines. You buy a ticket, and then over time, before the day of your flight arrives, they advise you that you can upgrade your seats for just a little or a lot more. Something starts off as exorbitantly high to begin with, and then, like boiling the frog, gradually gets even more expensive by them dangling little add-ons before you go. And don't even get me started on how you have to pay for everything beyond sitting in your awful cramped seat when you're actually on board. The original ticket price is crappy enough, but by the time you get to where you're going, you'll have encountered enshittification many times.
So I guess we can assume that Leigh's not really very in favor of WestJet's new bare bones ultra cheap flights.
Yeah, and she's even referring to when the flights are already expensive. Yeah. So you buy your mainstream tickets, like my one to Dallas was $800 Canadian, and yeah, I could have paid an extra $50-$60 for a better seat on the way down. So yeah, and when I was down in Dallas, we're at the Westin, and I walk by this area and I can see all these foosball players in there, and I go up to the door and it's locked. One of them sees me and comes over and lets me in. And I just say hello, basically hang out for a little bit and leave. But they're all eating free food. Like these guys that are on tour, they keep going from town to town and staying in Westins. And then you get, after you've done so many stays, you have platinum status. And that's for life. And from then on, you get your, free buffet breakfast, free snacks in the afternoon, a lounge area where the riffraff don't bother you.
Wow.
I thought that was pretty wild. And one guy even said, yeah, just before this trip, I actually paid for a hotel stay here in Vancouver that I didn't stay in. I didn't need it. I didn't use it, but I paid for it I just bumped myself into platinum for the rest of my life.
That sounds like not a great plan on Westin Marriott's part.
Oh, but, imagine how much money they got from these people all along that journey.
Well, I guess, but...
And then they're still making money off the hotel rooms. They probably make more than they lose on the free breakfast.
Yeah, that's probably where I've lost the plot.
Well, we do hotels on our vacations. And some people I know, like, purposefully will do just Best Westerns. And in that way, they get points. And the next thing you know, they're getting free stays and stuff. Our policy is just to choose the place that we think is the best deal for a reasonable amount of quality. And I always join whatever points system they have. But then we're doing like Holiday Inn and Best Western and Marriott.
So you must have the mother of all subscription emails.
Because we're on all these different sites, right?
Yeah.
So finally, Sue and I are, I got a foosball tournament in Toronto in July, and then Sue flies in at the end of it, and we're doing a nice little vacation at Kingston on points. We finally got our first free hotel room, 24,000 points. Yeah, I had 36,000 points, and I thought, try the points.
Make sure the TV goes out the window.
And I didn't even do the thing where I, Seniors. Sorry, I missed that whole thing. Well, am I supposed to drive a Cadillac into the swimming pool?
It's just the idea that now that you've got a free room, you're just going to go completely wild.
We're going to Keith Moon it.
Yeah, exactly. Just sorry, RJ.
No.
That is kind of cool, though. I mean, I absolutely lack the fabric to pursue policies like that where you would actually get rewards. Do we have more listener mail? I think we do.
I think we do, yeah. And in fact, we haven't even allowed that one to come to its completion.
Right. Leigh of Courtenay sets us off.
By the way, I thought that PJ's rat wave story was excellent. Good. And I could certainly picture it. Yes, if only you'd been able to get a video, you might have won the internet that day.
Yes, I would have for sure.
Yeah.
I wish I had. I just didn't think of it at all. I was just My mouth was just kind of hanging open.
Listeners, this is when a rat is running amongst restaurant tables and everyone stands up at each table as the rat goes underneath.
And then they just sit back down again.
Yeah.
It's kind of like chickens, like fox runs through the hen house and they'll go, "Wop, wop, 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 wop," and then they just settle back down.
And then the cook comes out and presents the rat to everyone for approval. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the rat.
And the grumpy cynic tries to determine whether that rat is the same size as the one that
Real
ran into
rat,
the table.
or is that just a random rat from the grain bin?
Just an extra one that they had in the kitchen.
They keep it hanging around.
Yeah.
Oh, and just so you're aware of your influence, Brian uses no cap in sentences a fair bit. Grandpa on the dance floor indeed.
That really makes me laugh. That whole idea. I don't use it. I wanted to use it. I tried to keep it in
cap.
my head to use it, but it just slips away. It's not natural to me.
Yeah, I'd like to.
And I
You
love
just have
the
to use it
idea.
once, and then from then on, you'll have it.
I love the idea that he's doing it, and I really laughed at Grandpa at the dance floor thing. And that is influence. That's what we're here for, to improve people's lives.
The world, actually.
So you get old guys saying no cap.
And just for something different on
That's
episode
kind of improvement.
180, the dog's standard rider, Leigh from Courtenay, says, "Hi, dogs. Good to hear you all after a bit of an absence, although sorry to hear about RJ's month-long illness. And just to prove some things don't change, no matter how much time goes by, I have a couple comments on this episode. First, PJ mentioned that he was low man on the totem pole at the dealership parts department. That phrase is commonly thought to refer to someone low in the order of things. But apparently there's a school of thought that the most important or noteworthy carvings were on the lower part of the totem pole, meaning that someone in that area actually ranks high. There's a fairly large school of thought that says it's best we don't use that term at all for anything anymore.
I just love the way she puts that. A fairly large. In other words, everybody who's not a complete knob stopped saying that quite a while ago.
That's
Idiot.
right.
I just thought, oh, that's fun.
So that is,
Very
low man on the totem pole actually means someone of honor. It's kind of like there's a similar concept with the phrase steep learning curve. We've all heard that. It's hard, right? But think about the learning curve. I'm going to draw in the air here for you guys. I'll even do it in mirror image so that you can see it correctly from your side. The steep
Thanks,
learning,
Rich. I couldn't have got this
a
otherwise.
steep learning curve looks like this. You got that? That's a steep, very steep
Got it.
learning
Got
curve.
it.
Okay, what do we have on the x-axis, guys?
Time?
It's always
Is
time.
it time?
It's always time. X-axis. What do we have on the y-axis?
Stuff. We got stuff.
Your knowledge.
Stuff.
Your knowledge level or stuff. Your knowledge level. You see what happens? In a very short period of time, your knowledge level went way up.
Steep learning curve.
Turns out a steep learning curve is something that's earned easily and quickly.
Oh.
Huh? Now, if you had a learning curve like this, long, flat, low, that's tough. You're working at it for months and months. Your knowledge level is still only up a bit. And then finally, at the
Who
very
needs it?
end, it goes up. That's a hard learning curve. So it turns out that a steep learning curve is easy. Quick, at the very least. You'll give me quick. PJ's giving a dissatisfied,
I'm
disagreeing look
contemplating
over
whether
there,
or not
but
I
you'll give
agree.
me quick.
I will give you quick, absolutely. But the question is whether or not that necessarily connotes easy.
I mean, if you learn something quickly,
You're a genius or you're working really hard at it. And I think the usual context for steep learning, very hard. You're working really
you worked hard, but you got
to
it
acquire
quick.
knowledge as quickly as you can,
Yeah.
I think.
I'm just thinking that the people who use that term think that it means it's really hard.
They think they're so smart.
Okay, well, there's
It's
a
just
steep,
easy. They're
there's a
not
steep
that
learning
smart.
curve to Mandarin. Turns out it's taking you forever.
Oh, yeah.
And that curve
786
is
days to
flat.
be
You're going
precise.
nowhere. It's basically flat. It's starting to tip down a little bit now.
Yeah, it probably is. That would be fair to say. It's more, yeah. It is not a steep. I dream about the day when the curve becomes steep, but so far
Right,
not.
right. Yes. Now, I'd like to repeat the last sentence there,
Sure.
just to rub it in a little bit more. There's also a fairly large school of thought that says it's best we don't use that term at all for anything.
And I won't ever again.
Okay,
believe
never
me.
again. I am done with that term too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny, these relics from our...
KJ, are you going to commit? No? You're not willing to commit?
Hey, I've twice this
You didn't
session.
know he was such a redneck.
Twice this session, I stopped myself from being racist
And
right out
announced
loud.
it. And announced it, yeah.
So I'm monitoring it quite closely.
Monitor. That's good. That's a start.
Well, I think that's fair because what I was going to say, it's only fair because I was going to say this. It's surprising how often the things that we used to say just as normal, we didn't even know they were loaded or racist or anything, they persist, right? You really do have to monitor because
Yeah.
expressions that you used when you were a kid that are just absolutely no longer acceptable are still banging around inside your head.
Yes, yes.
Waiting to fall out in mixed company at
Yeah.
an inopportune moment.
Yeah, and you kind of say them in a mixed company, and there's a whole bunch of people looking down at their plates all of a sudden.
Yeah, their heads come up.
and you don't notice.
Yeah, you're just eating away, just making the New Jersey cop noises happily.
Skins.
They're all looking at what did some Abbott?
Leigh continues. Also, staying in the automobile world, PJ mentioned that one of the parts vans is a 2005 with 165,000 kilometers, and it's pretty much a wreck. He noted that even a minuscule amount of maintenance would have helped its life, and I'm sure he's right. I had a 1990 Nissan Sentra, which made it to 340,000 kilometers, and I sold it to a coworker's son in 2007, who then drove it to and from work in Williams Lake for another 5 years. Twice yearly maintenance all its life certainly helped. The fact that the parts van is a GMC and my car was a Nissan likely didn't hurt either. Haha.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that car. She did have that thing forever. It was in pretty good shape.
I was chatting with the guy across the street that has the imitation GMC pickup truck that's now it's a retro car.
Are you talking about the one parked right out in
Yeah.
the street here? Yeah.
Oh.
It's got a front that looks vaguely like a 50s era Chevy pickup.
Oh,
and
is
then
that not the ugliest
yeah.
vehicle on the block? Oh
Yeah,
my
it is.
God.
Yeah, I was complimenting on it because I'm that kind of shallow person.
Hypocrite.
Yeah, although I actually kind of like those things.
Do you?
I do. I wouldn't drive one, although the one that I would drive is the imitation Thunderbird. I've always liked that one. It came out maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah, I do remember that.
I kind of like those.
It was a retro style.
It's a retro
Yeah,
style.
I remember that. Yeah.
I'd drive a PT Cruiser for a year, probably.
Would you?
And they're just awful pieces of junk, apparently.
They
That's
are.
why you don't see them anymore. They just fell apart.
Oh, I really liked that ad campaign. I was so excited for them.
Is that right?
I don't even remember it.
Well,
us.
they have that Chrysler logo, the old
Yeah.
Chrysler
The
logo.
wings.
Yeah, and it was like a teaser, and it was like a retro something, and I was just so excited about that. The whole idea, PT Cruiser.
Oh, wow.
And the styling was a little bit like would be a boogie van, like a Woody, like a
Yeah.
a surfboard van.
And
it's
it's,
small to be that.
Yeah,
but
it suggested detached fenders and detached lights. Suggested. They weren't. Just looked that
and
way,
it
sort of.
was built on a truck frame, and thus could get away with worse mileage. It's actually a truck.
Oh, really?
Worse mileage than it should if it were a car.
Right. It was like an early SUV in a sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was chatting with the guy and I told him about Chuck the Truck, which ended up having 500,000 miles.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It was Gordy sold it around like, I don't know, the 350,000 mile mark or something.
That's
Because it grew up in Redding, California, which not a lot of, precipitation in the winters, but no salt. And finally, Leigh continues, man, I wish I'd been with PJ and Dale, not a listener. What's wrong with him? She, as a sidebar, she
Way
says.
to go.
At the trivial contest in the bar, I'm great at trivia, and it may have something to do with having played Trivial Pursuit 10,000 times. My second husband worked with a woman whose brother was one of the 3 original inventors of the game.
Geez, that's so easy to say, and then your brain has to spend a good 20 internal seconds.
Did you guys
it together.
ever watch the documentary on that?
No.
It's about the three guys who invented the game. It's actually quite good. I watched it like 25 years ago, though. It's an old documentary.
So
Yeah, they're
They're Canadians.
from Stratford.
Yeah.
Just when I was there in 84, 85, if I had $1,000, I probably
Could have invested.
could. Yeah, they were. I think
Oh,
unless they
my.
had maybe they just finished that, but it was right close around there.
Right, because they did the design, they did the prototype, it worked out well, and then they needed the investors. And we all should have been there for that. You could have been there. You probably didn't have any money when you were down there. But in the meantime, my second husband worked with a woman whose brother was one of the three original inventors of the game. The woman and other family members each invested, and my husband was offered an investment chance, but it was $2,000. So he didn't do it. Yes, I know. Anyway, the woman and her husband and all the family members got crazy rich. They gave us a first edition Trivial Pursuit game as a wedding gift.
Oh.
That is cool. I remember back in the days when it first came out, you could separate the people who really knew the game well was whether they'd call it the Genius Edition or not. Because it was the Genus Edition. And some people would call it the Genius Edition.
So did you walk around with a big Genus chip on your shoulder
did.
for like a
I did.
decade? Because most people did call it the Genius.
I did. When we were playing the game, I actually tucked away 2 words in my back pocket. Those words were, well, actually.
Oh, that's funny.
Thank you, Lee. Excellent.
Yeah,
note.
that was, again, we're just eternally in debt. We're going to have to, well, whatever.
Ogre from Nelson, I think,
Yep.
sent you guys a picture, which neither of you have replied yet to.
Well, I, first of all, wanted to take issue with why only you came into possession of that picture.
It came into wearesheddogs@gmail.com, and you guys are not...
Just came and went because it wasn't. But I
Okay,
didn't
well,
see
you
that
guys are
ogre.
now in possession, because I believe that's Lucy in the foreground.
See,
And I believe that's Haley
just
two
skates
back. And then are those ogres kids, the two other ones?
Yeah, the second from the front is Keith,
Well,
and
there you-
Michelle is in the back.
Well, now you have the photo. You can add it to your photo libraries and tag it.
And I will.
And you can reply to Ogre of Nelson.
Well, he's a faithful listener. Surely.
Yes.
And Ogre, thanks for that. I actually love that picture. And I couldn't, when I first saw it, I thought, what is going? What it was is KJ had a gig in New Denver, and I needed to get up to the lake to do some work on the extension on the cabin. So we loaded those girls into the International and drove up there, did the work on the cabin, and I came down with something. I don't know what, but I was so sick. We went to New Denver.
Not get out of bed sick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I lost 18 pounds on that trip.
Wow.
I just could not.
Something you ate or something? Or?
Yeah, I might have got, because we put some stuff to seal the deck. Maybe I somehow ingested a little of that. I don't know what happened, but poor old KJ, I ended up in the hotel. Like, I was supposed to watch the kids while he worked, right? While he did his actor stuff. I was just lying in bed. He had to hire somebody, had to get somebody to look after the girls while I just stayed in the room and was sick.
Wow.
We had to leave finally. And man, rolling out of town, we didn't even make it to Silverton before I had to get him to pull over. And that just kind of went on for quite a while. And
So
finally,
this is you
me and Moby and our 2 girls.
and your 2 girls. Yeah.
Finally, we stopped in, I think, Vernon, and I had a McDonald's milkshake, and that turned the corner for me. I didn't have to stop
nice.
anymore after that.
Nice.
Jeez, it was horrible. And I always felt bad about that because Moby, my whole job, had one job, you know, and it was going to be fun. We could have gone swimming at the public beach. We could have done all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah.
No. Have to lay around in the room and just hurl for hours at
Okay,
a
so
time.
mental note, next time I'm sick, that kind of sickness, McDonald's milkshakes.
Yeah, it's probably just coincidental.
Yes,
but it
yes.
was the first thing I had been able to keep down in 5 or 6 days. It was really bad. Eh? Whoa. Man,
That
yeah,
is listener mail.
that is, yeah.
So I just looked this up, and it said the game was created on December 15th, 1979, way before my Stratford time, in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, by Chris Haney. So I was at Stratford with his sister, Mary Haney, and that's why and I think they probably talked the whole investor thing and other actors, because they were friends of Mary Haney,
Right.
had heard about the game and that.
Yeah, because invented in 79, it might not have gone live till 83 or something.
And it says, after finding pieces of their Scrabble game missing, they decided to create their own game.
Nice.
Jeez.
So that's how that started.
If I found pieces of my Scrabble game missing, I'd probably just go shoot guys.
I'm sure to this day, if you go to a bookstore in the game section, there's probably Trivial Pursuit's probably just sitting there on the shelf. Right?
Yeah, almost for sure.
Yeah.
Or you go to some place like Value Village or the thrift store, you're going to find the Genius and the Genius edition.
But didn't they break into like specific, like the movie edition?
Yeah, they
and,
started doing stuff like
getting
that.
really specific
Yeah.
about
You knew the string was getting short when they started doing that. You know.
what to do with all this money.
No, what can we do to squeeze the last few drops out of this thing? I would. 100. Absolutely.
PJ,
Yes.
tell me, have you seen anything interesting in the, I don't know, automotive world lately?
Yes, I have. Because
Do tell.
Well, actually, I haven't seen this particular thing. So I have seen fun stuff. Like I sent you guys a picture of the electric motor out of a Volkswagen ID4. That was fun.
Those things are big, right?
They're big, and I thought I thought it was a regular engine until my boss told me, no, that's a electric, and I looked at it. And, yeah, no, that's not a regular combustion engine, and I thought it was going to weigh just a ton. Turns out it weighs about 200 pounds. It's not. It's not like a combustion engine, which I think weighs quite a bit more than 200 pounds.
Yes.
So that was a fun thing to see. But somewhere along the line, I saw a reference in an ad for, I think it was a Hyundai or a Kia. And the ad actually mentions a sterilizer tray that's built into the car.
Yeah.
A sterilizer tray. So that, you got the kids in the back and I don't know what they do, but they need to sterilize something.
Yes.
For the kids. It's all about the kids.
Really?
And I just started thinking, who thought that was a good idea, really? And how's it done? Is it done with ultraviolet light?
Yeah.
Is it a microwave?
It's probably ultraviolet.
Probably ultraviolet, but that isn't, you actually do have to sort of be a little bit careful with even that.
For a nanosecond there, early in the COVID thing, Sue and I were frantically looking at sterilizers. It was a thing. For about a month there, they just flew off the shelves at Amazon.
Yeah.
And what you're going to do is you get home from wherever you've been and you put your phone in this sterilizer bed. It's about big enough for your phone. Switch it on. Highly unworkable, because the truth is you needed to run it for like 5 hours to have any impact. And who's going to leave their phone alone for 5 hours? But it was a thing, right? Like everyone was like, oh, I need, should get one of those.
Well, and I got the sense, I haven't seen it, of course, and they don't show it in the ads, but I had the sense that it's probably a pretty small receptacle. Like it probably lives in the center console or glove box.
Big enough for a phone, do you think?
Probably about, yeah. And you just sort of think, I just can't figure out. I must really be missing something. I can't figure out why this is a big selling thing. They're including it in the ads that they're running for this thing.
Did this come out of COVID?
No, this was like within the last month I saw the ad for
but it might have come out of COVID because the designers might have started back then.
Oh, yes, sorry.
And then,
yes.
and then the bureaucracy at Volkswagen there, the whole project continues,
Hyundai,
even Hyundai, the whole project whole project continues while
takes on a life
at
of
a
its
certain
own.
point, people realize this is stupid, but nobody's willing to tell their bosses. Their bosses are kind of clueless.
Well, and I mean,
Just carries on.
and in the show notes, I started thinking about how long till we start seeing all the crazy stuff idiots do just to get YouTube views or social media views. Are they going to start poaching frogs in there? Are they going to stick their hand in and have contests to see who can leave it in there longest? I get that it's probably not going to do it, but the whole thing struck me as so odd, such an odd thing to hang your hat on as a selling point. I just don't know what.
Oh, we'll end up having to do some research on that one.
I guess
We'll end up probably putting a link to something in the show notes.
because I thought it was pretty weird, and I just don't know what Junior could be getting up to in the back seat that you needed to sterilize something before you could let them touch it again. Like, oh, you dipped your sippy cup in that bird guts on the side of the road. Oh, we'll just sterilize. Like, really? Like, what is it?
Just the thing.
Yeah.
So KJ, we got one item here we may have covered, unless there's an update about it. It says KJ's rock video and P short.
Oh, we saw
Got
the
some-
P short.
Yeah, we've seen it. Have we got an update on it, or have you just forgot to?
Well, the latest, so much going on in the film world, film and TV and short rock video world.
Oh, let's hear it all.
Wow.
Yeah, and we need to talk about your horror movie as well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's right. We do
yes,
need to
wow.
talk about that.
Just this week, our listeners will be thrilled about this because the rock video, the music video, gets released on tomorrow, I believe.
Which is, for our listeners, that is June
14th, I think, isn't
June 14th. So you will have been released
Months ago.
months ago.
it? Months ago.
Yeah.
But don't fret, you can watch it because then you'll know what we're talking about. So the director sends out this information that it will be released, and here's the final version, and sends something else. So I watch it, and at 17 seconds, the movie stops. The music continues, and then about 5 seconds later, the movie starts again. And I emailed him and I said, "There's a little bit of a glitch, and also, is this the final version? Because I don't see my credit anywhere."
So, listeners, this is how movie stars get bad news. They don't even read it in the press.
5 minutes after I sent the email, he says, "Oh, thanks for the." Oh no, he phoned me. He phoned me and he said, "Oh man, that is the final. Like, it's gone through the color process and you can't go back and do anything. So I don't know how I missed the credit. I mean, there's only one actor in it. You'd think that maybe there would be one. So I don't. So I'm credit. So he's going to get
Oh, my goodness.
the artist Jill Barber to include it first thing in the show notes or whatever."
So,
wow.
what was your take? Did you believe it all?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember seeing it first draft, and I probably should have said, should be a credit, and then I don't see the credit. But,
That was your chance.
well, but I'm thinking, well, who misses that? But apparently...
Okay,
This
but
is why-
I have a serious question here. How is it that they can fix the 5 seconds of missing video?
Oh, that's just an upload thing. That was just
Okay.
how it...
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the final was... Yeah. No, I'm sure they checked all that for the original.
I
That
think
is just-
I think the video could have had it's at the end and the credits start, and then all of a sudden this kind of angled stamp comes in. Plus, KJ McNulty.
Yeah.
Featuring or with or
I mean,
whatever.
I use iMovie all the time. You can just type it in,
Yeah.
just plop it on
That's
there
right.
somewhere, right?
It wouldn't look very good, but
She just said, that's why I asked if you took it all at face value, because it just seems like such a glaring omission. You sort of think, this is why I struggle mentally so often, because my mind suggests all this nonsense to me all the time. Like, is there some reason they would have avoided putting your name in there and just didn't want to really face you with it?
Well, I think that because there's credits and there's a nice little bank of them, and I think it probably was going to be a single card, which would be just my name somewhere, either right at the beginning or right at the end, and it just was.
yeah, because sometimes
Forgotten.
you see that, like the star or stars, their name is right up front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then omitted at the end.
Yeah.
Like sometimes they do it.
Yeah,
in
they
both
don't get
places.
double mentioned.
Yeah.
No, and I just showed that to our friend Alan Morgan. I'm saying his whole name here because he's a famous actor.
Yes.
And he said it really reminded him of Carol Burnett or Red Skelton. You know, Carol Burnett used to do, "We're so glad we had this time together." And Red Skelton used to do the same thing at the end. He'd do this really kind of sweet,
Yeah.
thanks for watching or whatever. And he said,
Nostalgic sounding.
he thought that's what it reminded him of. I thought that
I
was
think
kind
he's
of
right.
cool.
I didn't think of that, but I think he's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And listeners, we'll put a link to that Jill Barber.
Yeah. I think it just comes out on what YouTube?
That,
It's
yeah,
just-
yeah. The KJ is featured in. We'll put
Yeah.
put a link there.
Just not credited.
a nice little with no credit. But read the show notes. My name will be in there someplace. Yeah. So
Okay.
so Makarov also did The Dog. That's what it's called, The Dog.
Okay, tell us about the dog. I'm struggling to remember that one.
It's just the adjuster sitting at the bar talking about selling body parts, Heidi Klum's breasts.
Isn't that the one where a fly gets into his drink?
Will we have a link to that one as well?
I'm not sure if we can do that publicly. I'll ask him, though, seeing as I've got a hand up in bargaining right now. Oh, well, we didn't get the credit, so maybe you could let me do this. Anyway, so The Dog and the P-tape called Attendance.
All right, and the P-tape we have not talked to our listeners about yet, have we?
No, I don't know. No, we didn't. No.
Okay, so you've done a video. We'll provide a link to that because that one's public, right?
No.
Oh, darn it.
No, that's still doing the festivals, but I got a Leo nomination for both of those.
Very nice.
So I will be attending the Leos this year.
Nice.
Only because my agent is buying me a ticket, because my ticket as a nominee is $280.
Whoa.
Attendance, the film, paid me $300 for the entire movie.
Oh,
So that's exactly the same price as my ticket to the awards show where I'm a nominee for. However, I'm up against myself in the same category, so odds are better, right? And I was just,
So, listeners, this really means you can drop the phrase rich and famous as always being automatically attached to film actor.
well, I guess it's because we're talking short films here too, with young directors and crew members, and they don't have a lot of money. And so just last week, I was nominated again for The Dog, the insurance adjuster one, for the Vancouver Short Film Festival, which I attended, don't you know, for free.
nice.
And didn't win, sadly. I was quite nervous, actually, about an acceptance speech because I'm trained as an actor to memorize lines. And as an acceptance speech, you have to make up your own lines. And
Somebody just
It's
says,
very
go.
different.
yeah, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. And however, my director, Michael Makarov, won for Best Direction and Best Screenplay. He won too.
Nice.
I think he did. Anyway, so that was sort of an interesting afternoon in...
So as a recap, you got nominated and didn't win.
Didn't win.
And then your director did win
Yes.
for Best Director. Okay.
And I'm not sure if he's nominated for a Leo or not. I would have to look that up. I kind of don't think he is.
So
Yes, he is.
when the winner is announced, do you know ahead of time that you're not going to win?
No. Oh, God,
Okay.
no.
So when the winner is announced for the cameras, what did you do?
Did you put your face in your hands?
Did you start sobbing? Did you laugh? Did you clap and high five him on the way? Like,
guy who won.
how did that all work, KG?
Did you cut the winner dead? Did you just not even make eye contact with the winner?
No, it's somebody else got it. Oh, yeah. It's like,
Oh, he did.
good for you. Yeah. Oh, they won another one? No, there's no cameras or anything. Actually, I shouldn't say that.
You should.
It's got to be
There
somebody.
was cameras.
Yeah, they got to be.
And every
filming.
time there was one pointing at me, like there was big handheld honking lenses just from still cams, but I'd make sure that I'd, give him one of these. Look down the pipe.
Yeah.
Anyway, and more amazing film news. Tomorrow, I have an in-person callback. The first time since COVID that I'm going into the room for an audition.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that exciting?
That is
So
exciting.
did you do a preliminary edition?
I sent in a tape. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just playing a character in a dream sequence, but he's recurring, which is nice. And he is described as homeless, perhaps, with a Cheshire Cat vibe. He was, in the real world, he was the former mayor of the town. Something happened. We don't know why he went missing, but now he's down there. And I saw in the script, there was a reference to, it looks like his nose had been eaten away by cocaine, maybe. And so he's his name is, can I say his name? His name is Scary Gary. So now I'll tell you about the audition, the tape that I sent. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I look kind of like this. Well, my hair is crazy. I have a silk smoking jacket that I think my mother got me, brown and gold. Anyway, I wore that shirtless, so open and shirtless. And you only shoot from, the chest up for the audition. And then at the end, you do a slate where you say, my name, where I live, how tall I am, and I'm a union member. And you pan up and down, so they want to see the full body. And I didn't wear any pants for the slate. And I thought, and that's how you get a call back, ladies and gentlemen.
Show them some skin. That's awesome.
Nice. But your smoking jacket, did it kind of cover stuff or no?
Yeah, no, I had some flashy underwear on stuff.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, but
But he just goes with the knobby knees,
yeah,
Nice.
white socks, just white socks, no shoes.
Very nice.
That's awesome.
Now, KJ, you've been in a movie recently, a mainstream movie that you don't have to check for.
Watch it on
NDAs.
Crave.
Watch it on Crave.
Yeah, any of you that have Crave, you can watch the movie's name.
And
is.
I think it's on Tubi somewhere, and Tubi's free, right?
Yep.
I think you can find it on Tubi.
Yeah. What's the name of the movie, KJ?
Low Lifes.
Low Lives.
And it's an horror movie. Low Lifes
Yes.
and horror movie.
And horror movie. It is.
It's not an historical, but it's an horror. Like
And historical horror movie.
And historical, yes. And hotel. I stayed in hotel.
I stayed
do you
at-
actually do an hotel?
Now, KJ, do you do this? Are you just kind of poking fun at people who do that, or are you that person?
Oh, I like to say an historical or an hotel. I love to say it just to point it out.
I didn't even know an hotel was a thing. I've always wondered why the hell people say an historical. I don't say
Anything that starts with a H, as the Brits say.
An H.
that. Yeah, but why though?
Well, why?
Oh, yeah,
why?
yeah.
What? An is before a vowel.
I don't know.
The H is silent.
When you say honor, that makes sense because you don't pronounce the H. You don't say an honor.
Right, it's an
Say an
honor.
honor.
Yeah,
An
got
honor.
it.
It's an honor. It's an honor.
It's an honor.
It's an
It's an
hotel to
honor.
meet you. It's an hotel to meet you.
It's in a hotel.
It's in an hotel.
So I stayed in I stayed in an
Nobody
hotel.
says that. Nobody.
In an hotel.
Not even
In
the
an
Brits
hotel.
say I stay in an hotel.
I think the bottom line for all these weird pronunciation things is to not let them bother you.
Yeah.
Dr. Jeffrey, whatever his name is, he's great. He talks about pronunciations, and when you finish watching those, you stop feeling knee-jerk reactions to people.
I'm going to continue to live like a Visigoth, both with regard to my rage and my contempt for those
Yeah,
stupid
the
rules.
Visigoths had much more rage than the Goths. I remember that.
Hey, skinny.
Don't know.
How to bring it back.
We'll just cancel all that. Anyway,
Full circle.
this movie. We
Don't
need to
cancel.
get to this movie. The movie was
Lowlifes.
called Low Lifes, and it was an horror movie.
And horror movie, and we're not going to do any spoilers, listeners, because
No.
it's a great movie to watch.
Yes.
KJ is featured in it,
Yes.
and it's available once again on Tubi or on Crave, and we highly recommend it. 90 minutes. Listeners, if you've ever watched a slasher movie, can we call this a slasher movie?
Yes.
I call it a gory horror.
I'm pretty sure it's a slasher.
Yeah. Much blood right off the top. We get some. Let's start right away with the blood. We're not gonna
I don't know whether
tiptoe
we
into
should.
it.
Fantastic. Wholesome family travels in amongst the lowlifes, I'd say.
Nice.
I just want to say earlier in this session, whether you hear it in this episode or another one, I got all excited about the video that guy made about the robotic foosball table. Mm-hmm. I was at least as excited about this movie just because it was great. Now, you told me that you don't have a lot of experience watching these kinds of movies.
Correct.
Well,
Yeah.
I do. I've seen lots of them. But anyways, I watched a lot of this. Thing was great. I really liked it. And I think even if you don't particularly like those movies because they're so stupid, you will like this one.
Yeah, this one is not stupid, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch.
I thought it was really a good movie. So,
Not a comedy,
Nope.
but you could treat it as such.
well, the same as any slasher movie. Right?
Yeah, but you as a slasher aficionado,
Because you like them so much. Go ahead.
I thought there was a lot of really funny writing,
Yeah.
like really funny, like
There's a lot of stuff in there. There's funny writing. There's excellent plot work. You don't really have this conversation about those movies. Humor is either really stupid or non-existent. Plot work is, well, there was a plot written in about 1935 that everybody has used since. You know what I mean? Like this thing, much better than movies of that genre typically are.
Highly recommended, listeners. Watch that if you can and send us your reviews.
Yeah.
and I guess it must have been too late for the Leos because being homegrown like Vancouver.
That's a pity because it probably would.
Well, it will next year then. It'll be in next year, I think.
Where was it filmed, by the way? I kind of forgot about any. Often I'll try and look for local scenery and stuff. The movie kind of pulls you in pretty good, so I didn't really look.
I didn't either.
I don't know, Maple Ridge. I've been. I shot this thing called The Tin Man with Zoe Deschanel, where I played the dad to her Over the Rainbow. What's the
Judy Garland?
Yeah, but who's the kid's name?
Oh,
Dorothy?
Dorothy Gale.
In The Tin Man, and we use exactly the same house.
Oh, really?
And if you notice at the top of the film, you see, after the teaser, you see the Winnebago driving along. Mm-hmm. Well, the whole movie was shot on one piece of property. Like there was no snow out in the wilderness. It's just one piece of property with a drone overhead.
Wow.
It's
Nice.
Well, that's actually quite excellent, really.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't at all obvious to me, not even remotely. So there, I know that your mind is blown after all of that, just like Louis Del Grande in Scanners.
Nice.
So I waited months to make that reference. Months, because I saw the hockey guy.
Now we have to put in that YouTube show.
No, we don't. We'll never find it. Anyway, we had a lot of fun here. A lot of fun, as we always do, and I sure hope you are enjoying it. Tell your friends if you did, and tell us if you did, because it just makes us happy. That's it. We really hope you are having a great time right now, whatever you're doing, and that there was something in here that's amusing and edifying. Take care of yourselves until we talk to you again. See ya.
Bye.
Good night. Yeah, I have a foosball friend who I invite over and he always says no because he curls every day. He's just like you. He needs to fill those gaps in his life.
Well, I don't think I need to fill the gaps. It's just I was happy with.
I think there's an emptiness inside. And I think we should talk through it. That's all. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Fuck. I mean, I went to the evening thing because I thought it would be nice to see the old faces again. It was, but this is ridiculous. What we're doing right now is ridiculous.